Here we go. Thrasybulus. Thrasybulus? Let's see. Time for d4. Sounds like a Greek name in the old Greek. But I don't know. Okay, what is bishop g4? Let's see. Is he threatening to take the pawn just yet? Maybe. Let's go ahead and defend my c-pawn and prepare to take back the knight with the queen if he wants to trade. Let's kick the bishop and see if he wants to trade or if he wants to retreat. Okay, he goes there. So let's develop another knight. Eventually I'm going to play bishop d3, I imagine. I could play bishop e2 to unpin the knight. But I think whatever bishop move I make, he will take the pawn. It's kind of funny, he's avoiding this natural knight f6 move. I wonder if there's a point to that. Let's go to bishop d3 anyway. The pin is not yet a big deal, it seems. Let's see if he wants to take the pawn. He doesn't. Okay, let's castle. Yeah, so he declined to take the pawn. At this point, after I've castled, and there's no longer the possibility of pinning this knight on c3, that's when I play the move b3. So now he can't gain a tempo by taking that pawn. I'll just take back with a pawn, and my bishop will stay here on a good active post. And then how should I proceed from here? The dark squared bishop could fianchetto to b2. Or it could stay here and I could push the e-pawn forward, which is kind of the typical thing that I do. Let's see, is this a good move here? Pawn to e4. It's good because it opens up this diagonal for the bishop. Pawn to e4, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and he gets a tempo on the bishop with knight f6. The bishop drops back. But at that point I have a strong center. I have the possibility of queen d3 and bishop to g5, just threatening that knight, and threatening the checkmate. And he has bishop to g3 coming after my. I like that anyway. Let's go ahead. It'll create some action in the center, some open lines. And I should end up with a little more space, if nothing else. If he doesn't take, yeah, I was going to say, if he doesn't take, I push on, and I just have a pretty good clamp on the king side there. So taking is almost mandatory at that point. The trade here is typical, but not required, I don't think. Yeah, so he declines to trade. So I wonder, I take the knight, takes back with the bishop. He's got the bishop and the queen looking at this pawn. Maybe that's his plan. He wants to win that pawn. I can drop my bishop back and I'll be defending with queen and knight, but the knight is pinned. So after bishop takes, I won't be able to take back. Is that true? No, I can take back with the queen. Okay. So let's follow this out. Knight takes knight, bishop takes knight. Bishop to c2, planning bishop queen to d3. Oh, then he takes this knight. I take back, and then he takes this pawn, hitting my rook. I can bring my queen over here to threaten mate and save the rook, but I just have lost a pawn. So that's no good. can actually defend the pawn like this. And then threaten knight takes. Knight takes f6, bishop takes, bishop back to okay, so then he decides to take. And hit my bishop. So he's opened up a space on e5 for my knight there. So let's just drop back to d3 so that I can unpin my knight now. I want my knight to go to I want to play bishop e2 so my knight can go to e5. It kicks the bishop, huh? I guess all the way back. Queen takes pawn is not possible because of bishop h7 check. So he takes there. Ah, okay. And now, now he gets to win the pawn. Interesting. And let's see, my rook is hanging. And so I want to move the bishop out of the way to defend the rook. This pawn is defended. This pawn is weak. Thing is, I don't have a great square for my bishop. Be nice to play bishop b2. Okay, so the problem with bishop to d2 is that he will just double with the queen and rook here and threaten my bishop. And then with the lineup of bishops on the d file, I'll be in trouble. So let's start with rook to b1. Threaten bishop to b2. So I'm down a pawn, but I have the bishop pair and he has weaknesses. So we'll see how this balances out. I don't think I'm in too bad a shape, but if he has some immediate tactical idea, maybe I'm in trouble. But if he doubles on the d file here, I probably will just drop my bishop back to c2. I mean, I could defend it with rook to d1, but it's not clear. That rook on d1 is going to become a liability in the long run. So just getting the bishop away from the d file. Still threatening bishop to b2. And I have a nice array of bishops pointing at his king side. So let's see if he finds something else here. The knight here is not happening yet. Yeah, some rook to d8 seems like the logical move. Can he do anything with his dark squared bishop? Don't see anything great that he can do with it. So anyway, after I get my pieces out of trouble, I can play moves like rook e1 and yeah, okay. So he did go rook a to d8. So my plan is bishop c2. And let's go ahead and make that move. I don't see anything wrong with it. Like I said, I'd rather have this rook on the e file than the d file anyway to harass his weak pawn. And I still have the idea of bishop to b2 to harass his queen. After bishop b2, does he have queen to bishop b2, queen d2? I could play queen e4, threatening mate. Actually, it's not a mate threat. Queen e4 is just threatening to take the pawn. But, well, it defends the bishop, though. Queen e5 would be a mate threat, but he can block that with bishop to f6. So he stops bishop f2, or does he? Bishop b2, rather. Now bishop b2, the queen will still have to move because he doesn't want to give up the queen for bishop and rook. So bishop b2 I can still play. After the queen moves, if he goes queen here, I can play queen to d2 and then trade. Sorry. So bishop b2, queen d2. I play queen e4. He defends on h7, or does he take the bishop? He could trade. Well, I could throw in the check and then take back. And then if he defends the corner, then I can play bishop takes bishop. And oh, he takes back with a rook and defends all his pawns. I was just noticing, you know, that the e3 pawn. Well, it goes with check. So let's think about this. Bishop b2. I should just go ahead and move now. Bishop b2. Queen d2. Queen e4. So he drops back that way, defending his pawn. So now I can make this threat. He was defending both pawns with the queen, so let's see how he wants to defend the h pawn. There, so he played g6. So is there some way to win material here? If I just play rook e1, he can just defend. Maybe I do play rook d1. Queen moves to the side. Does it have a good move? It could go here or here, or it could go back. And then I could trade rooks and take the pawn. Yeah, so if he wants to keep the pawn, he actually has to go to, he can't take, right? Yeah, queen takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, just a queen for a rook. So yeah, if he wants to stay in touch with the pawn, he has to go to e7. And after that, I can trade rooks, and however he takes, something will go wrong. If he takes with the queen, then I can take the e-pawn, and if he takes with the rook, then I can take the f-pawn. Actually, yeah, take with the f-pawn, threaten his bishop. So he takes with the queen, gives up the e-pawn. Probably a reasonable choice. Okay, so back to material equality. And I still have the bishop pair, so I think I have slightly better chances now. He played a really good game, I have to say. So, in spite of the rating gap, he seems to have put his good effort into this game. And I don't mean to say that like I think I'm winning or something. I think he still is in excellent shape here to defend. I think I should be better, but it looks like a hard game to win. So how can I break through here? There's rook to d1. That's probably good on general principle. Activate the rook. If he takes my bishop, I take his queen. Takes the rook, I take back, so he can get a trade the queen for rook and bishop. So he moves his queen aside, and now where do I want to go? Can't check here. His knight is covering it. Bishop here to harass his rook. Keep the bishop pair on. Going to have to speed up. Going to have to speed up soon. And how can I activate my light squared bishop? Oh, I know. Bishop to, not light, I just saw the other bishop has a good move. Bishop to d6 looks like an idea to threaten the f-pawn. And yeah, I'm down to 1:37. He's down to 2 minutes. Ah, he blocks the bishop out. Hey, that was probably a good move. Okay, can I increase the pressure on that pawn? How about bishop to... yeah, you can just grab there, which would not be helpful. Then his knight's a little bit out of play, but his knight can still come back here. Okay, now let's target the f-pawn this way. Just didn't want to leave my bishop on such a weird square there, looking at a pawn. Let's see, I can increase pressure on the f-pawn by playing the queen over here. Okay, he's going for some trade, it looks like. Do I have to trade? So let's see, that defends the rook defends the bishop. This bishop is a bit loose, so maybe he can take advantage of that somehow. I am threatening this pawn, I guess. So yeah, he defends the pawn. And how do I get this going here? Let's see. So now I want my bishop. Now I want my bishop back on this diagonal. But how do I get there? Don't know. Okay, starting to speed up a little bit. Threatening bishop to c3. He can still play rook d6 if that was his idea here. Because I go here, he takes the rook with check. Take back. Oh, but then his queen is still in a skewer. Maybe he's in trouble here. Well, I wonder if it will find something now the clock is really ticking. 44 seconds to 30 seconds. Okay, so we go with queen trade and the skewer, and I've got a material edge, so my chances have picked up here. And he lost his knight. So I think that's it for the game. Well, it was kind of a sudden falling apart, but I was slowly building up some kind of edge there, so I was feeling pretty good about this position. And I'll just mop up his pawns here. He defends. Okay. Let's see. We can get this pawn then. Actually, his king can come to that square, can't it? Okay, well, I wonder if there's a checkmate here. This king is kind of limited in the squares it can go to. Yeah, let's just simplify things. And back here. So everything's on light squares, so let's bring the king in. Okay, it's going to make my life difficult. But resistance is futile at this stage, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so let's see. He's going to go after the pawns. Or is he going to block my king? He's going after the pawns. I'll let him have a couple pawns there. Anyway, things are much simpler now. Just need to I've got 2 pawns here and just need to queen one of them. And just start walking that pawn in. Okay, he decided to resign. Anyway, interesting game. I will upload that and do a post-mortem. See you guys later. Bye.